Hello, I'm Ian, the host here of Denoffathers, and today we are going to be sharing an interview I did with my dad's cousin, Russell Rex. And we have a nice conversation about what it looks like to be a dad, what parenting is like, and walk through some of the struggles, the highs and lows of parenting, of this fathering journey that we're on together. And for me, the one big thing that I picked up from the conversation was consistency, but I want to know what you guys think and what you pick up from the interview. So as it's playing, as you're watching it, if there's things you pick up, things you like, or things you'd like to share, please drop a comment down below. And now we're going to get you right into the video. Enjoy. Well, that's exactly. If you share one thing that you learn and that helps one other father be a better father to their kids, now you've made a difference and you've made an impact beyond your.
There's so many things. You can't pick one. I mean, and if there were one thing, if it was easy, we'd all do it. We'd all be great dads, but it ain't.
Well, but that's the thing is like if that person gets one little thing from you that helps them be better, and then one thing from somebody else, and that's how it's
And that's
built.
how it's supposed to be done. There, the phrase is, "It takes a village to raise a kid." Somewhat. I mean, but it still takes the soul of the family, the mother and father both, and the more opportunity a kid has for both parents, the better, in my opinion, the more well-adjusted he's going to be.
I I would certainly agree, and that village thing. I think the one thing that people can take it the wrong way is that it takes a village, and people might start to rely on the village. You need the village for support, but not
And
the
we've seen it
foundation.
happen, and we've seen it backfire as well. It can be, a double-edged sword. Obviously, there are a lot of cases where it's effective, and there's a lot of cases where it's absolutely horrible. I think what my perspective of a village to raise a kid means, the kid should draw something from everybody in the village, should understand, see both the good and bad, and obviously we want him to wait for himself, want the better, try and cipher that from what he sees in his village, but that's why it still takes the father, the mother, to bring these specific points home for him, or I think.
When you have the as it goes, a fool doesn't learn from his mistakes. A smart man learns from his own mistakes, and a wise man learns from others' mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that, and I don't consider myself a wise man necessarily. And in fact, frequently I'm the fool.
We
And
all
once you
have been.
recognize it, you're not always going to get it right,
That's
and you're
true.
not. In fact, you are not always going to get it right. In fact, sometimes you get it very, very wrong.
Yeah.
And those are times you look back and think,
That's where the learning
if
comes.
exactly, if you've learned from the experience and able to move on from it, maybe don't try that again. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I think um, I'm wise to an extent. Younger people, I seem more wise because I'm older and I've seen more things. To the older folk, I'm not as wise because I haven't seen all that they had. So it's a learning thing.
It very much is. And as we're getting into this, thank you all for tuning in to Den of Fathers. I'm sitting down with Russell Rex here,
Howdy, folks.
father of three.
Got three. I got a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 9-year-old. Living spread out. Got two girls and a boy. It's been a very, very interesting road for the last couple of decades.
And then you're one of how many kids of yourself?
I am number 5 of 6 children. I have an older sister and a younger sister and three brothers older than me. So I caught a lot of flack as it rolled downhill when I was a kid, and you learn from their mistakes as well as yours if you're paying attention. We also realize that the younger kids are a whole lot more durable than the older ones. We figured out through the course of the years. I'm married to a wife, wonderful girl. She's been my wife for more than a quarter century now. She's number 9 of 9. Big family herself, so we understand the big family mentality, and it's
And being near the bottom of the totem pole.
always, and it's when you have to scratch and claw and earn your way up, it's harder to do so in a family environment that's not cohesive, I guess. So we try best to be equal with everybody, and it's hard. It's hard. You can't always treat each other equal. some will perceive it differently than others, and you just have to adjust accordingly, I guess, for lack of a better term. You have to understand which kids are going to understand the discipline or reward in the fashion that they understand. For instance, I've talked to you a bit about something called the Five Love Languages.
Yes.
The book called the Five Love Languages. I believe in it and some of the
Great
things
book.
it stands for, and how it lets you understand what your partner or your kid or anybody. There's another one called Five Love Languages of Children, which is equally interesting to read.
Yes, it is.
So it's about understanding what they perceive and how they receive their love from you or
And
others.
with that 5 love languages, we can link up below. There's even somewhere you can jump online and even just take a quick quiz with any of your family to get a just base foundation on where they're at.
Understand that there's people are gifters. My wife, for instance, people are doers. Me, my older daughter seems to be about affirmation and wants to be applauded. My middle child was more about quality time. Several different aspects, and the way they demonstrate the love is kind of how they expect it back. And once you learn that, and once you move forward with that, it's able to, or more able to, do it easily.
Oh, yeah, I'm an affirmation person, so I can.
I understand that. And being from big families, it's the challenge is always there. It's always trying to make yourself stand out from the crowd and not be pushed aside or trodden on, if you will. And it's I think harder for bigger families in that respect, but it's harder for smaller families to learn and develop and grow and learn from other siblings' mistakes or even good moves.
Yeah.
So you don't have as much to rely on there. You have to go outside sources. And I had a lucky break in my life. There was a mentor in my life when I was about 13, and he helped me understand how to move within the letter of the law, shall we say, but still hold my own personal, appreciations, I guess, for lack of a better term. So he's I hold him pretty high in regards, and he's a church-going member and raised 3 kids of his own and been affiliated with children's homes all his life and been just one of the guys I relied on.
Is he still somebody you're in contact with, or?
He's passed away. He's gone, but his son actually was my best man.
Nice.
Was, like I said, a quarter century ago. And some of his life lessons learned back then are still viable and valuable today. Most
Absolutely.
of them, in fact. So I think, raising a kid's not easy, man. You know that. You got 3 of your own.
2.
What are the dogs?
Okay, fair. I thought you'd have about the wife.
I'm
No.
just kidding. No. We'll never say that. Equal partners.
I'm in trouble. No. No, I'm the kid, if anything. Not
And my
her.
wife calls me that as well. I am the biggest goofball, and man, I'd rather go see a comedy than a drama any day.
Yeah. Most
But-
of the modern
And
TV
I
is too
think you gotta
dramatic.
keep it light. The lighter you can keep it, the more you can joke about even your own flaws and drawbacks and mistakes. The easier it is to appreciate, a bigger picture.
When you can make light of those and have fun with them and air those out with your kids, and they can see that you recognize a mistake and you can roll past it and kind of just
Yeah.
have fun with it, helps them when they encounter that
It
same thing
does,
in life.
and I think if I had any wisdom at all, I think, and it's even more difficult with children. And the more children, the more difficult it is to have patience. You got to have patience. You got to understand they're going to learn at their own rate, and you can't speed that. And you have to
Nope.
understand how to spin it in your favor to help them grow in that light.
I think one of the greatest things I ever heard from another fellow parent was when it come into your kids, and as you're parenting them, and you get into when they will have the "you don't like me the same, you don't love me the same," and
We hear that
they
a lot.
said, "We treat you differently because we love you equally." Because each
That's
one
a
is
good
an
statement.
individual.
I like that.
They're
And-
each
and-
an individual.
I still have some of my children tell me exactly that, and that's a good response. I hadn't ever tried that or said that or used that specific terminology, but it's good. It works, and
They don't always accept it, but
no,
it's
and
true.
they won't, and they're more prone to I want what I want, and it's not fair that I don't get it.
Hmm.
Well, I think I was like that as a child myself. I think I kind of still am
Yeah.
to a degree, and you have to. I don't know. You have to be a. What's the word I'm looking for? I sometimes contradict myself in front of my children.
Yeah.
I'm not always. Uh, I'm not always on the right page. I'm not always on the same page. Frequently, I'm not even in the same conversation. But we still find a way to find common ground and try to
Yeah.
make it work the best we can. I think one of my goals as a parent has always been, because it didn't necessarily happen for me, and I thought it's very important that I think one of our goals as parents is to get our children to the age of 18 with the high school diploma so that they're at least ready to face the world in the minimal text or minimal application that we rely on or depend on.
Yeah.
Beyond 18, beyond high school, it has a lot to do with how you prepare that child, how ready to accept the challenges of adulthood that child is in order to move to the next level, which is hopefully for most parents to be get their kid through some level of postgraduate or post-secondary
Yep.
in any school. 2A degrees better than a high school diploma, better than GED, better than a dropout. You work with them along the way. You try to help them get to this point, and I think that's as big a challenge today as any.
Oh, absolutely.
Mostly with the failing family units that we see out there. So many,
Yeah.
single parent families struggling. So many grandparents raising grandkids
Yeah.
because the parents are either working split or
And then there's a
gone.
generational gap of what they're living in
Absolutely.
versus what they lived in that creates definitely a break between. And I think as you're going down that, for our family for sure, an approach is that we love our kids as they are as kids now, but everything we're doing, we're looking at what are we doing to set them up to be successful adults. We don't want them to be kids when they become 18. We want them to be adults at that point.
We want, as parents, the child to understand what it means to be an adult, what it means to be a good person, do the right thing, help others. You know, it's a hard thing to teach that. You almost hope they learn that on their own. I try to lead by example as much as any, and that isn't always effective. You actually have to discipline. You have to lay down the law on occasion to get them to understand that right's right and wrong is wrong. And if you want anything, one of the sayings we use in my house is, "Hey, it is America, and you are free to make your decisions. Just understand that with most decisions, you have a predetermined consequence. So choose what you want. Understand we're going to go a certain direction after this choice."
Yep.
And they understand that.
Well, that's good because
Don't always live it. I didn't always live it. I don't
well,
think
we
any of
can
us did.
see. I mean, in the world and society today, that in homes, households, in areas that hasn't been happening, that it's having dire effects on those individuals as they become adults.
Right, and we see it in our. I think the first place I see it is America's prisons. We're over full, and we've dropped the ball somewhere along the way, and we're not paying attention to the important stuff, which is the nurturing of the human animal. Man, we have to take ourselves out of society, so to speak, so that we're able to focus on rearing a more competent individual. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm saying that the way I want to. What I mean is less dependency on the village, as I spoke of earlier, but more dependency on the learning and the growing.
Well, and every child coming up needs that coaching, that nurturing, that mentoring along the way.
Whether they
and if it's
admit
lost,
it or respect it or not, either way. And some of the kids that act like they don't want it are the ones that need it the most. And some of the kids that act like they know all about it certainly don't. I mean, it runs the gamut.
oh yeah, you can't read it on the outside, but you keep showing up, be consistent with it.
I sit and I'm trying to listen to what it is I'm saying there, and there's no answer. There's no book, and information like this is nothing more than information. You're going to get from it what you want. You're going to hear what you want. You're going to learn what you want, and within your own capabilities, or desires or some combination thereof, you're going to impart said wisdoms at your discretion. So it has a lot to do with your personal beliefs and commitments in not only yourself but how you want to your children or your legacy, and how do you want that to show when you're gone,
Yeah.
or when they're out in the world representing you, whether you want them to or not, they do.
They will and they do.
And so that's a big thing for me. I want to make sure that I've done the best I can to get them to the point where they can be self-sustaining, and we'll all take a couple of falls along the way, a couple of scraped knees, broken bones, a couple of hospital bills,
Absolutely.
and a couple of
A few
coaching
wrecked cars
sessions,
and
a couple of wrecked cars, a couple of sittings in the detention center, or whatever it takes. And as long as we learn and grow, and I don't think any of us can say we had it easy. Bigger families are a challenge in their own rights. Smaller families, they have a different set of challenges, but equally tough, I'm sure.
at the core of it all, it's all about, well, we were talking about this previously, it's about the relationship and the connection, whether you're coming from big family, small family, coming from money, coming from no money. It's still about the relationship, the interaction, the connections. And kids want to know that we're there.
That's
They
true.
need to know that we're there.
And if you don't have the conversation with them about drugs or sex or crime or whatever it is, they're going to get that conversation elsewhere. And if
Do you want society having that conversation with
that's
them, or do you want to have the
exactly
conversation?
how
I want
comfortable
to have
you-
that
how
conversation.
comfortable are you with your child learning stuff about what's right and wrong from someone else? No, I want to be able to show you and tell you. I don't want you to be that guy. I don't want you to be that girl, because you're so much better. You have so much more capability, so much more opportunity if you pay attention to, it's easier to be nice to somebody and have somebody be nice to you. People are nicer to you when you're nicer to them. And moving forward with that's, I think, part of why we're here.
Yeah.
So I have no answers, man. I have thoughts and processes, and
that's exactly what this is, and it's conversation. It's something that, as we go through this, hopefully, at least one of you out there finds some value in it, and it.
I would like that. I mean, if anybody heard something from me that might not have heard or thought of earlier, that's great, man. But I'm gonna say, it's still, you're gonna know what's right for you and your situation with your child,
Absolutely.
and there will be some who disagree with that. There will be others who agree wholeheartedly. You're gonna find your way.
You are, and you're gonna go your own way, and there will be times you make a wrong decision and go the wrong way, and that's okay.
It is.
You'll learn from it,
And
but don't let that deter you.
it shouldn't. I mean, the thing is, we're parents for life.
Yeah, it doesn't
I mean,
stop.
It doesn't, just because he's through college or, I'm in a nursing home, it doesn't matter. I'm still a parent, and I still want the best for my child. I still want the best for my child. The best I can provide, the best I can do, the best knowledge, information, whatever I can give them.
That's what we all want. Obviously, we were just spending time with my dad a little while ago, and that's still what he wants
Still
for me.
important. I mean, it's still important to, lend a hand where you can. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the answers, man. I don't know that there are
That's the fun thing
specific
about this
questions.
is that
I don't know.
the answers are in just the conversations, and that's the part of all this is for people to look at it and understand.
It's a means to an end, and I gotta say, and I said it a moment ago, I feel hypocritical as an adult because of some of the things I know I've done, and I recognize that I've never had children before, man. What am I doing? And then it occurs to me, I was a kid once, and that's why I'm not doing it that way now because I was a kid, I can tell you why this way isn't working, or what have you, or why it does work, and it's like,
Yep.
there are some the hard lessons are hard learned. I have to say, in my experience, if you're gonna learn a lesson, learn it. And don't be doomed to repeat it again.
And those, I think, as a parent watching your kid learn some of those hard lessons can be one of the most trying things as a parent.
I think for me, that hardest lesson that I that I was able to live and grow by and learn and earn and become more was the IRS thing. You know, it happened to me, and I'm sure it happened to most of us or some of us, where you got behind and something happened, and next thing you know, it's like, what is this from? You know, how am I? Who? Yeah, it's your tax ID. It's your fault. It's your problem. It's something you have to deal with on your own. It's not somebody else's responsibility. And those are the kind of lessons you want your child to be able to adult with.
Yeah.
To use that term. My college age daughter is adulting very well, although a couple of occasions not so much. I'm sure I was exactly like that.
Yeah, my 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, coming
Uh,
out to adulting, I did not do well, especially on the financial
I don't
side.
know. I don't know. I stumbled out of the blocks, and it took a long time to get started. Had a good time getting there, but it wasn't the best choice. I mean, you have to weigh that in too as well. I mean, I would like my kids to do better than I did by virtue of getting started sooner. Understand that your life begins, man, at conception, to be quite honest.
Oh, yeah.
And from there, it's completely up to you how you move forward. But people like us, fathers, mothers, any family member who's at all interested in helping to raise a decent member of society, for lack of a better term, again, it's like we want to help. And the best way to help is advice, sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Yep.
You know, I like to do for my people. I like to, you know, do what I can for the people in my life so that they don't have to, or so that I can free them of whatever burden that might be. And I hope that they learn by example. And again, it doesn't always take. It takes a little more than that.
Yeah, to get in and help. And what was I just
It's
going to go
uh,
with?
it's
Ah.
it's never easy, and there are
Oh.
times that you want to throw your hands up and just walk away. And it's so frustrating to hear some of the complaints they have, and but the fact of the matter is, we're still here to help, and
Yep.
I want to do what I can in that respect.
Staying true and staying consistent, I think, is one of the biggest keys to parenting.
And you
Even
know,
when you're not getting credit, when you're getting grumbled at, when they're throwing it in your face, they're saying you don't love them, you're just there to make their life hell, whatever it is at that time, to not waver, to stay consistent, to keep showing up, even when you go through those and it seems like it's getting absolutely
the
nowhere.
patience, it's understanding
Yeah.
that what we're doing is the right. You know, the ends justify the means in a lot of respects. You have to have the patience. You have to have the knowledge to know when to push and the knowledge when to draw back. And that's a learning thing. That doesn't, you don't just get that because you're a dad. You don't just get that because you know now you're an adult. Um, Man, I have to say, it was a long time coming for me, and you know the people in my life, I finally started putting the puzzle pieces together and understanding, hey man, this is what we're talking about, and that's how it helps, and that's why I hope you know any little nugget, any little piece of information would be, you know,
We're all doing the best we can with the information we have at this point in life. Hopefully, we move forward, we get more information, and we can be better at it, do it a little different than we were doing it before if we have better information for it.
I,
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And I think
uh,
if that's one thing I can encourage too is when people offer you advice on parenting, the natural reaction for most of us is to like take offense to it and clam up.
yeah, like I don't need your advice. You know, you don't know my kid, whatever, and there's some truth to that along the way, but
I think
keep keeping an open mind and hearing, you know, try and look, you know, try and step outside the box or the bigger picture, whatever acronym, whatever term you want to use. Um, you know, staying focused. You've said it a couple of times.
I think the best thing with that is if somebody does, parenting is one of those where a lot of us get real sensitive about it, but just listen to whatever that person is saying to you and just move on with it. Analyze it after the fact if it's actually something that you want to use or not, and move on away from it. Don't get into a dispute, don't get into a fight about it. There's going to be times when people
cross lines, but most of the time people are trying to share something that they learned along the way, and it may work for you, it may not, but don't just shut the door on them immediately, because you could actually miss something that helps you out in that. And it is a reaction that we naturally have when somebody looks at you sideways, says something about your parenting. You're like, well, you don't know my kids, you don't know me, back off.
Trying to keep an open mind, especially when it feels like criticism, is a very hard thing to do. I don't take criticism real well. I'm character flaw, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think a lot of people are like that. So
very much so.
It's another learned thing. You have to, at some point, be able to accept defeat, or
or just accept help. Doesn't have to be defeat.
Exactly, and help. That's a big thing. A lot
There's
of
a hand
us,
reaching out for you.
Me,
sometimes you gotta be willing to take
I
it.
don't know. I never had help. I never wanted help. I always do it myself. You know what? That's not true. It's simply not true. You cannot do it by yourself. To a degree, sure, but to be well-rounded and better poised for advancement, you need the help. And I think the hardest thing is actually asking for it, or knowing when you need it, and maybe even in the aspect that you need it, and that's hard to know.
And being gracious enough to accept it. And I fully can. As I'm saying,
it's just
looking at those things.
And we all have bad days, and some of us had more bad days than others, and you're down a lot, and the term we've always used, and I don't even own a cat, but you have a bad day at work, come home and kick the cat because you had a bad day at work, and somewhere along the way you got to learn to take that hat off and put the dad hat on, or the mechanic hat if you got to fix the sink when you get home, or the carpenter's hat if you got to rebuild the wall because the toilet busted, or whatever the case. And all these are just part of the program, and your kids see you in this role day in and day out, that you keep it running. You have to what's the word I'm looking for, just roll with the punches. You have to be able to accept,
keep the machine rolling forward no matter what happens,
as much as
whatever
the good
breaks.
and the bad. And it happens. It's never a constant just even keel. There's always something going on.
Well, there's always a storm coming. There's always something brewing. We never know what's around the corner. No, we do not.
I think it would be a sad thing if we did. I mean, I don't think it would be nearly as much fun if we knew everything or what was next.
Yeah. Obviously, the last couple of days we've talked about that a lot. Would you want to know if you could know what's coming around the corner?
I don't. For myself, I wouldn't. I mean, if I knew when the big day might be, I'm not interested in knowing that. And I don't think most of us would be. But I think preparing for it in your own life and being able to help somebody, your children, others, even you, me, y'all, whomever, the best that we can, because man, I don't know. I would rather help somebody out, and if you feel like you got to tear me down to stand up, then by all means help yourself, because I don't feel that, and if that's how you are, it's not going to affect me. I'm still here to help. I still want to do what I can, and
that's a huge thing, because the kids are always watching.
It is,
and they see how you react to those things and how we take that in stride, or if we don't, if we get razzed by it, or if we, turn the other cheek, still lend a hand to those who.
And it's not easy. And pride will get in your way every time. I mean, I don't need this from you, or you're like so less than me, or whatever you're feeling at those times. I don't know. I've always been a proponent of the idea that if you've got something to say to me or about me and can't say it to me, it's not important.
Yeah.
I mean, if it needs to be said, then come and talk, and let's talk. And that's how I try to be with everybody I'm associated with, so that you understand if I have an issue, then we need to talk about it. I'm not going to stab you in the back. I'm not going to run around behind you. And this is important for the children to see as well, because look, let's get this out in the open. Let's make sure everybody's on the same page. We can agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
We don't have to pull a gun. We don't have to boycott your store. We don't have whatever. We can actually talk this out.
Well, there's oftentimes in those situations where too it's just you perceive something one way, they perceive something the other way, and when you have the conversation, you realize you're not that far off track of each other. You just perceived it differently.
And we're not talking.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's true that your perception is your reality, and until I'm able to perceive such as you, then it might be a difficult thing.
Yeah, as they say, though, walking in the other person's shoes. When you can have those conversations that put you there a little bit more and you understand, where you're looking at how you parent your kids, coming from, 6 kids, to where somebody's parenting coming from a household of 2 kids, your world and perception could be the same on why you're doing things the way you are, but once you have that conversation, understand that the heart of the issue is all the same.
It is. It has to do with
even that playing field.
There's a lot of. Oh, you're always growing. You never stop growing. Never stop learning.
Better be growing.
No, there's no way to know it all. And along the way, as I watch parents of just a single or a couple of kids, and parents of 8 or 10 or 12 even, a lot of what they do is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna have a routine. Kids need routine, whether they admit it or not, know it or not, recognize it.
Hey, you saw mine tonight. That's the not routine thing. That's the night. That's the not routine.
Oh, well, I mean, there also needs to be a hiccup in the schedule. I mean, it has to. You can't.
It is life. It's gonna happen.
Like the poor dog's got to eat the same dog food every day of his life. It's routine, sure, but let's spice it up a little bit.
No.
The routine is important. I mean, keeping the kids on their time schedule, their people, their coursework, whatever it is, but it's a means to an end. And until they're able to make the adult decisions, we talked a little bit about what age should children have, their cell phone. That's your independent parent's decision. It's not
absolutely
not for me to make. It's not for you to make. I'll make that decision for my children, and it may not be the same as yours. My wife and I talk a lot about the dynamics of my relationship are not the dynamics of yours or his or theirs or somebody else's. Therefore, they should not be. They're not mirror images. They should not be compared as such. I mean, there's some parallels that can be drawn. There's some similarities, but it's not going to be the same. And that's why we have to understand, obviously, broken homes are a hard place to raise a kid. I'm a product of that. I think a lot more of us are than we would like to admit. But you have to be able to roll with the punches again and strive for the best. Be the best you can be, I think is what I heard you say.
Absolutely.
I hate to look in the mirror after, life's over and say, man, I could have done better.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we all can have that conversation with ourselves.
Well, I think we were just on the drive back last night that I was talking about Ed Milet and his perception of the end of life, talking about that when you get to the end of your life, you get to meet the person you could have been. And the worst case scenario would be that person is somebody you don't recognize. And the best case scenario is it's like looking in a mirror. So are you striving to be the best person?
And that's important.
You can be.
I hadn't considered that particular scenario, shall we say, when
it teases
at the
the
end
mind.
I get to look at worst case scenario. It's important. I think it helps you look at the idea that did I do the best I could today? Have I been the best me I can be? And I think that's in a nutshell. The best me I can be. I don't want to be you.
No.
No offense. Not that I don't like you.
I don't want you to be me.
Stuff about you that I don't like or do like, but I want to be the best me I can be, and that means I want to help where I can, and I'm gonna get frustrated. I hate to lose. I hate seeing my team lose. I hate, watching my kids' teams lose. I get, pretty.
You're a competitor.
Well, that's part of it. The big thing is it's part of the cycle as well.
Yeah.
And you have to understand. I mean, my drive is still to have these guys be an acceptable, socially acceptable. What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, I want these guys to be productive members of society.
Yeah.
I want my children to be good representatives
be
as
passionate,
well.
To integrate well, to know how to compete, to want
and to be
win.
able to, lose graciously.
Which
to win,
but to because you're going to take more losses.
Another character flaw. I'm sorry.
You're going to take more losses than wins.
And that's the truth, and that's simply how it is.
That is always going to be the case, and you learn more in losses than you ever do in wins.
The big thing is that you're prepared for every eventuality that you can be, so that nothing comes as a surprise. And there's absolutely no way that can be true. So that's why we strive toward it.
You just keep rolling with the punches and keep
Pluggers. I just plugging away.
yeah, plugging away. That'll work.
I mean, it's a routine, it's a job, it's a life, it's a career, it's children, it's hey man, it's my spin on this world. I hope I make it right.
It's it's our legacy. It's our impact. It is the greatest, most stressful, most emotional, most joyous, most happy job you'll ever have.
And looking at my life before, I never thought I'd be the father. I never thought that wasn't who I was, and I don't know that it is who I was right up until I had kids, and then suddenly
No,
it
wasn't
is who
for
I,
me.
it is who I am, and it's like you can't change that. That's how that is, and we're gonna move forward with this in the best possible way.
Yep.
I get frustrated with my children like anybody, and I don't like myself sometimes, but I try to be as consistent as I can.
We
And
have to.
That's pretty much where I'm at with it.
Consistency is. I think if that's one of the biggest things that I can bring through on this channel is consistency, showing up, continuing to just do better, get better, learn more, and just keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up. Especially in those, like you're talking about, you're a product of a broken home. I'm very fortunate. I came from a home where I have both parents there and a lot of support around, but I think in those atmospheres too, a lot of times that's where some of that consistency gets broken, and for so many different reasons that I've not been a part of, so I don't even begin to consider that I can comprehend. But for anybody that's in those situations, the more they continue to show up, the more consistency that they can build, whether they feel they're making a difference or not, it is.
We have a foster daughter. Actually, she's not actually a foster daughter. She's my wife's niece, and she was my first kid. We took custody of her at the age of 14 or 16, and for a long time, it was exactly that. I don't have a track record yet. I'm trying to establish myself. I'm trying to help you grow. You miss some windows before puberty that you just can't make up after, and we missed that window a little bit. And trying to make a relationship with a child and trying to grow with her was a challenge. And it's one of those things you keep, like you said, being as consistent as you can. Your discipline's got to be the same punishment, same problem, same crime, whatever. You do what you can to make this child understand there's reasons we do things the way we do, and there's consequences for doing both correct and incorrect.
Yep.
And they're not gonna like it. I told one of my daughters, you're quickly becoming a teenager, and there's going to be about half a dozen years here that you're not going to like me at all. I'm going to be your worst enemy. I'm going to be the biggest goofball you met. I'm not going to know anything. I'm going to embarrass you. And we're in the middle of that right now. And I reminded her of this conversation recently. She goes, I remember that. Well, it didn't change anything. We're still in the middle of it. And in a couple of years, I expect her to make the turn like my first child did. 10 years after the fact, says, I get it. I know what you're talking about, and thank you. And that's the things we live for, man. That's what you want to hear, and it makes you feel like you've done well and pushed them along the right path, or at least taught them some things to get them to the next level.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I think parenthood is about. My parents weren't always there, and they're definitely not here now. I mean, they pushed me to the point, you can only push the rock so far up the hill, and at some point it's going to take off rolling down the hill on its own, or it's not. So.
Yes.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't have answers. I have little snippets of memories and methodologies.
All those snippets are great little
building blocks. I think they're
Yes.
they're the structure of.
You're doing a lot better on the. It's like you're running this more than I'm running.
Man, I'm just saying.
No.
What I'm thinking about is
Definitely.
it's just little pieces of the puzzle, man. And it may be a straw house, man. I might be building a glass house, you know. That I don't know.
Oh, that's what it was. That's okay. I remember where I was in amongst all of what you're talking about too. I think the great foundation is, and me knowing you is at the heart of with the foster kid, with your kids, with the other kids and stuff that you guys are taking in regularly.
We always have people
At the heart of, and I feel is crucial and key is that no matter what the punishment is, what they've done wrong, what you're having to enforce, they know at the core, at the bottom of it all, that it's based around compassion and love. That's down there at the bottom of everything.
So you say they know this. I don't know that they know this, and I don't know.
But they do.
I don't
if
know.
it's there, they do.
I don't know that I knew that myself. You know, I mean, at that age, and you know, even for a long time, even in my teen years, I'm like, yeah, you don't know. You don't know me. You don't know nothing.
I think that's just part of the rebellious teenage, rebellious kid.
And sometimes it takes, you know, the wisdom of adulthood, and you know, I don't know.
Yeah, your kids may not see it or realize it till later, but I think that is just the key.
And I think that's the key. That is the key, that you were there for them and you showed them this even way back when, and the earlier memories they're going to have of this exact, you know, movement or scenario is exactly what I was aiming for at this stage in life when they're, you know, 20 years old and doing what they're doing.
Like a fine wine, it takes a while till
or
you
older,
actually...
or younger in some cases.
Takes a while till you get to open it and actually enjoy the fruits of the labor.
It does, and it makes it worth it. And even so, even if you've enjoyed those fruits of labor, it's still not over. I mean, there's still another, you know, grape on the vine waiting to be
Oh, yes.
raisined.
Raisined.
I love my kids. I don't do as well as some, I'm sure. I do better than others, I'm sure. But it's not a race. It's not a game. It's just how you.
It's life.
It is how you perceive life and what you want to. As I suggested earlier, what do I want my legacy to be? I would like all my children to be productive members of society, whether that's flipping burgers, or whether that's, you know, a PhD in electronics because they want to know how the space shuttle works, or whether they're helping some starving country in, you know, rural Africa. I don't care. I just want them to be happy with who they are and, you know, give back like I'm trying to do now.
Yeah. That's a huge thing, and that's something that you see all the time where people will say their kids have to go to college and they have to do this versus what does that child need? What do they want to do?
Need is the right word, and want's a big thing. What does he need? You know, and you get to a point as a child where you need the opportunity to grow in a different area than maybe you've been steered or geared. That's important to recognize and know how to transition into that. And it's not always easy. It's not always the right move, but you still have to be able to learn and grow with that. It's a never-ending process. I don't know how to.
Obviously, my kids are younger, but as I perceive that, when that, you know, I mean, even the groundwork's being laid now, but I see a lot of that as they're reaching that age of where am I going to go in life? What am I going to do? It's kind of like we're the navigator in the seat next to them, and you know, they might take a left turn the wrong way, and how long do we kind of let them go and see if this is the direction, if they can find their path through this way, till we might go, hey, you got to come back this way.
You know, and knowing when to say that, or how to say that, or
if they want to give up right away on something, saying,
or
give it more of a shake.
Are we not willing to let them venture out into the road less traveled because it's less traveled, man? I mean, there's a fine line. I mean, I'm not about to pick my child's career for them.
Nope.
I've suggested before I'm a sports fanatic, and I like that my kids like sports, but hey, man, you don't have to like my team because I like my team. You do what you want to do. You find a team that you're comfortable with. You find a path in life that you want and I will support you, man, as long as it, you know, I'm not gonna support some.
So Giants, Redskins, those are okay.
For me, that's your team. You stay off my bandwagon, I'll stay off yours. But my point is, I'm gonna support you as long as what you're doing is right and okay. And if God's okay with it, I'm okay with it. But there are certain things we can't do, we can't allow, and we won't. And just raising the children, emphasizing right and wrong is very, very important, man. Knowing when to start and when to stop, and who to say yes to, who to say no to. It's what it's all about.
And have you, I know I have, had times when you said yes or you said no and it was a wrong decision and you realize that later, or made a mistake and come back around to the kids and actually have a conversation about that?
I have, and
Because those are hard.
I've made sure that they understand, hey, look, I know I was wrong and I made a mistake. And I will tell you right now, frequently it's inconsequential. I'll say that. Mostly it doesn't matter when I'm wrong. No, what I mean is, yes, I think we all have. And if we haven't admitted that we're wrong, then we're doing ourselves and our child a disservice.
Absolutely.
Look, if you know that you've made a mistake here, hey, you got to let them know. Hey, I made a mistake. I was wrong. And man, just this week, I told my child I was absolutely wrong. And I apologize. I made a mistake, and maybe I accused one of something. Or I don't remember the instance specifically. I know I had to come back and say, man, my bad. I'm sorry, and I apologize.
It is one of the best things I believe we can do as parents is showing them that. Because otherwise, when they get into life and they do something wrong or they realize they made it wrong, they don't know how to handle that, accept it with other people, if they're called on it, anything, versus having ownership in everything you do. And if you make a fault, if you have a mistake,
and
being willing to...
thinking about how easy it is to sit there and talk about how right I can be. And I know that I made a mistake, and I should tell my children, and I'm here for them. And you get out in the real world, or back to life, away from this, and think about what we said here, sure. But there are going to be times when this is, this is irrelevant, because what's happening is happening now, and it's important, and it's heat driven, or there's some kind of anger issues, or we've got other stress that's pulling us different ways, and it's not going to be the same. But the drive and focus is what we're talking about. What drives me raising my children is trying to do the best thing.
Yep.
Even when I don't know, they've done something they shouldn't do, or I've done something I shouldn't do, and we get in a heated discussion, and everybody's just at each other's throats.
It happens.
It does happen.
It happens to all of us.
And being able to, like I said, for me, being able to take off the work hat and put on the dad hat, very important. And being able to know when to do that.
It is an art.
It's a necessity. Because
absolutely.
You have to wear a lot of hats. You can't just wear the one. You have to be able to be versatile. And there's nothing they won't come to you with.
No.
My 9-year-old's asking me questions all the time. I'm like, I simply don't know the answer to that.
That's a great answer to give.
Well, in the information age we live in, it's easy to find so much.
Well, that's... Worst thing you can do is try to fake it, though.
So much information, so little knowledge. I mean, we have the ability to gain the information so readily, but do we actually know it?
We're miles wide and we're 2 inches deep.
And that's it, too.
There's no depth.
We're not, driven enough to know, generally speaking, I should say, to know things thoroughly like we should. Yeah. And that's part of what this is about. Parenting.
Well, that's this right
books,
here.
There's suggestions, there's help videos like these, there's all these things. Yeah, it still comes down to your conviction. How do you want to move forward? I mean, what do you feel in your heart is the best way to move forward? And that's I think the crux.
Do you watch a video like this just to feel good about yourself, or are you actually looking to gain something from it?
That guy doesn't know what he's talking about, which is entirely possible. I mean, I know what I know.
I don't claim to know everything.
I feel what I feel.
I'm no expert.
I don't know everything.
I'm no expert.
I think that it's going to come down to the individual instance and at the specific time with everybody's attitude frequently determines the outcome of the scenario. And there is no right or wrong. It's just you try for, you know, batting average is not 1,000.
No.
You're batting. I don't know anybody ever with 1,000 batting average. 1,000% bat. It doesn't happen.
Nope.
In fact, it's frequently less than 250. So
Yeah.
if I'm getting 1 out of 4, I want to do better than that as a parent.
Yeah.
And that's what my strive is.
I like it.
I don't know that it's always the case. I know we do drop the ball some and we do have a hard time, but I love my children and I think they love me.
It's all in the journey, and it's all you're gonna have the
Something on your head, kid.
the at bats. Just keep getting out there for the at bats. Keep swinging. You can't. As we were just talking about the miles wide, inches deep versus narrowing it and getting deeper. I mean, I think that's a lot of this here. As we're sitting down and you're asking me, and I got this clipboard here of this is miles wide of stuff.
Right.
But I'd rather
and
get down into stuff that we can go.
Are we covering any of the stuff here? I mean,
There's definitely stuff that's on the list, but it's not. You can't check a list for being a parent, and that's where.
I want to know. I mean, is there some other way I can speak about what I'm saying here?
No, you're doing great. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're going more deep and less wide. We're too much of it is people get out there and it's like, okay, so we talked about that, we talked about that, we talked about that. This for me is just a.
It's
in ideas, but I'd rather this because this is going to get us deeper into the heart and soul.
I feel the same way, and
us parenting.
I feel like I'm being redundant when I say the things I say about I want what's best for my kids. I don't know it all. I try real hard. I hope they respect me, and that's really where I'm at with it, man.
I think
I want to do the best I can for them. I don't always. I know I don't. I cuss a lot. I drink beer. I root for the wrong sports teams. Whatever it is. I drive like an idiot. I don't know. It's just I work too much. Whatever it is.
We're all flawed.
It's not a perfect scenario. So I try to do the best I can in the areas that I can, and that's what I think it's about. Being there for your children is as important as almost anything. I mean, I don't know that everybody has the opportunity to be there for their kid all the time. I know that doesn't happen either, but the more available you make yourself for your child, the more support they have to, grow into what you want them to grow into or be the person they want to be.
And the more opportunities that when they are in need,
that they can
you will be the one that...
Instead of learning from the book or the video or online or...
Videos are good too, though.
Thing. What I mean by that is learning from the wrong source about, I don't know, drugs, crime, sex, cars, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
It's important to have that rapport with your child, and that can only be established by consistency and openness.
And the relationship.
And I don't claim to have the best relationship with any of my children, but I try to be as honest and open as I can.
Yeah, that's one of the things I applauded, and actually when I was sitting down with my dad, that was something that we talked about, was exactly that my parents kept it a very honest, open, upfront relationship, and we could talk about anything, and I didn't always, because I was a teenager and a kid, and I didn't want to get in trouble or I didn't want to talk about it, but there was nothing we couldn't talk about or breach a subject of.
That's right.
And as an adult, the strength and comfort and person that built me to be, and the ability to talk about what a lot of people view as uncomfortable conversations, I am very thankful to them because I can get into very uncomfortable conversations and do just fine in them because they're not to me.
Not necessarily feel uncomfortable. I mean,
they're not uncomfortable to me.
I understand that, and I know exactly what you mean. I'm a little bit like that. I'm brutally honest, I think, is another character flaw. I think I'm brutally honest. Where
it goes both ways. It's a gift and a curse.
I don't want to say all I need to say, but it has to be said, and it's one of those things. So it's also a little bit of, holding back so you don't, you know, when they were younger, they asked me, is it okay to lie? No. I mean, honestly, it's not okay to lie. There you go. I mean, because we all do it. It's not on purpose. It's not for any gain. But every episode, every adventure, every scenario has a different outcome or a different, focus.
It's not black and white.
It is not. It is.
Parenting is not black and white.
Well,
Life is not black and white.
Thousands of colors, man.
If you look up gray and see how many, there's a lot.
It runs the gamut again. I mean, from A to Z and everything in between, and there's no answer.
Not
man.
A to
It's
X?
just beyond X.
Okay.
We go beyond the X factor.
Okay.
Whole different thing. So I don't know. Like I said, on occasion I feel like a hypocrite because I'm telling them not to do stuff I've done. On the other side of it, I feel like such a stoic and staid individual that you can't do that because it's wrong. And no
Reserve that
one's
right.
going to.
We went through it. We know that it's wrong.
And finding the way to impart that wisdom to them so that they hear it is much a challenge.
That's a real.
Because you can sit and say, I don't do that, I did that, and it don't work. Well, now they got to try it. Or don't do that because I think you're stupid if you do. Well, now you just call them stupid. Or don't do that because I don't like it. Well, who cares what you like? It's me. And it's a challenge.
You told me not to worry about what people think.
Well, so I think leading by example, I tried that. And it works to a degree. I want to show my children that, this is how I live and how I want you to live and how I think should be.
Well, whether you want it or not, they're always watching us. So they are picking up on what we do and who we are. Whether we like it or not. Everything we do, they're watching.
Yeah. All the F-bombs and all the, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that, and, drive like an idiot and
Yeah.
say something to the other drivers. They are watching.
They're always watching. They always will be.
Well, that's good and bad. I mean, so you try to live your life, we're not perfect, man. I'm not going to live the 10 Commandments every day. I'm not that good. And I recognize that with myself. And I let my children know as well. You're going to make mistakes. Here's one now. No, just kidding. So the big thing is, that we move forward, that we grow and learn. And all right, so maybe we try it a little differently next time. If that's, you have to keep sight of, the prize or the goal or the carrot or light at the end of the tunnel, whatever it is that drives you, has to be how you focus. What your means to an end have to work toward that. And for me right now is getting my children through high school, and I want to say into college because I think it's important, but through high school because as a parent I think I'm socially responsible to get my child a high school education.
Yep.
Beyond that, and maybe not, maybe I just feel that way. Beyond that, it varies. I mean, you can go into Corps, you can go into any one of the branches of service. You can drop out and be freewheeling Franklin, all I care, do what you want to do, but I've given you at least the building blocks, and I think that's what early fatherhood is about.
Yeah.
Early stages of being a dad, because this is a lifelong thing. I mean, as long as I'm around and they're still here, I'm a dad.
Yeah, and you're just hitting the stage of, getting one into adulthood now. I'm still, 7 years out of my first one, getting to that adult out the house.
We've got driver's licenses now. We've got higher insurance now. We've got other stresses that keep coming back. You don't ever want to get that phone call at 2 a.m. Dad, crashed the car. But guess what, man? It happens, and you have to know you can deal with it. Because you can. I mean, it's going to hurt. It's going to piss you off. It's going to make you mad at the world or mad at the kid or not. Or maybe you'll just be so dumbstruck that you won't react at all. But you can handle this.
And
you don't have a choice. There's a lot of life you don't have a choice. As a dad, some people put it this way. That kid didn't ask to be come into the world. You are now his guardian for life. As long as he's on the planet, you're his guardian because he didn't ask to be brought into this world. And that's one way to look at it. And I think most parents feel that way anyway, because I want to protect this and nurture this and to make sure that nothing ever happens wrong to this. We want this to be perfect, and it won't be, but we'll try.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think too, if you can take stock and remember in those moments when you get those phone calls, when you do walk through those, that there's thousands of parents out there
Suffering
that
exactly that same thing, or even
they're
worse.
going through that same thing, and they're going through the exact same thing you are, or they don't have the relationship with their kid, so they don't get the phone call from their kid,
which would be
or
incredibly disappointing for me if I don't know, as a parent, I don't want that phone call, but I don't want not that phone call. You know what
exactly.
I mean? I want if it's
If
necessary.
it happened,
I better get the phone call.
I better get a phone call. And that's if you take stock in and remember and have gratitude for where you are and those things in those times of it's the last phone call you want to get, but you wouldn't want anybody else getting that phone call.
That's right, and it's hard to explain. I mean, if you've been there, you know what we mean.
I haven't been in the car, but I know exactly what
Well, it's
those
the
kind
same
of.
thing. It's that
You don't want
high
that
stress,
call,
high
but-
anxiety. You get a call from the school about. Well, you get a call from the school. You know it's about your kid. Now you're in panic mode. Okay, well, he's got hives, or he kicked a kid, or forgot his lunch. You never know. It's a spin of the wheel. And as a parent,
Your kid hit another kid in the back
you're
of the
not
head.
always
yeah.
going to be prepared for the where the dial lands. But I think that's a challenge of being a good parent. At least being able to respond. I want to say responsibly, respond in the best possible fashion, and it's not easy. And I get frustrated with the school district like anybody. I get frustrated with the system. Whether it's the driver's license thing, the DMV, or
That's
the
one
health
thing that
insurance. There's all these things that pull you in different directions, and you still want your child to see you handle it all.
Well, I think that's something that's kids are watching. It's a very hard thing. It's something that, for the first 5 years of my daughter being in school up till this past year, we really had struggles with is we want what's best for our kids.
Right.
So we want to be teamed up with people in schools, in churches,
I would
in
say
activities
like-minded individuals
that want what's
or
best for them.
like-minded programs, so that what I think is what my kid needs, and the way I want my kid to grow is the areas I'm going to focus in for him or her. And
We want to be able to work as a team with these other individuals at a common goal.
yeah, and
that can be a challenge.
it can be a challenge because egos and eccentricities and I don't know, income levels or any number of classifications can draw wedges or be spikes, and it's not what I want, but it's also what makes us diverse. It's also what makes us be a
it's
better rounded.
It's something for them to take in while we're going through it too, because it's something you're going to run into in life always. You're going to run into different personalities. You're going to run into bosses that do things the opposite way that you want to do it. You're going to get a visit from a furry one.
What's up, cat?
You're sitting on the couch, He's
It's his place. Well, he's sitting on me now.
Oh yeah, you got a new friend now.
All right. Part about being a parent is love when they come around.
Oh yeah.
Big old boy.
Yeah, love of the animals too. Our special guest, Binks. Yeah, that's the 18-pound little house cat.
18-pound little. So, and another aspect right there. I want a billy goat. I want a gerbil. I want a snake. I want a...
You've seen my zoo.
And
It's only a
we
snapshot
want,
of it.
to please the kids. We want, and this helps teach a little bit of responsibility as well. The ability to take care of any pet, domesticated or otherwise.
Well, and I think also a big thing for us especially, we've talked about it, and pet ownership is, pets, their lifespan is shorter than our lifespan. So you get pets when you have kids, and they get to nurture them, love them, and spend time with them, and then get to experience loss.
Right.
And how do they
to
handle
deal with
that?
and
How do we
what can
walk
we do
through
to move
that?
forward, and what's our next. That's a good point. And that's another thing
That
that you don't know how you're going to handle until it steps up on your door. We've had loss in our family and our pets, obviously, and
yeah.
it's trying, and you don't. I, there is no right answer.
No.
There are definitely some wrong answers. So
There's always wrong
just,
answers.
Can't can't teach that. That's something you got to know and feel, and depend on your level of commitment to your children or your loved ones, whatever the case, is going to determine how you move forward in those scenarios. I want them to know that, hey man, death is a part of life.
It is.
The very last part of life. Some of us are going to see the rest of us go. And, what side of the fence are you going to be on? You don't get that choice necessarily, but you got to be prepared for it. And we were talking just this week, just last night, tonight even, about the will. We were talking about tonight about a living will because, as you get to that point, you don't want your kids to be left with that necessarily. They don't want to have to deal with that burden that just lost their parents.
Last thing as a parent we want to do is burden our kids ever. I mean, we joke about it with the nursing homes, and as we get old, and you change my diapers, or I change your diapers, now you're going to change mine, kind of stuff. But
Yeah, well,
reality is we don't want to burden them, really.
That's right, and no parent should have to see their child go, but that happens as well. So it's just a matter of, I don't know. I'm comfortable with who I am and what I do and how I do what I do. I have flaws, I don't doubt. I know that I could be a better person, and I strive toward that. And I hope that my rearing of my children shows the caring, compassionate person I am. It's going to be my legacy because I haven't money to build me a tower, things that might make me famous after I'm dead. What I've got is my children. And I hope I've instilled some of my, beliefs and feelings within them. So moving forward, they remember me in those respects.
Yeah. Sounds like a great foundation for a great father.
And I was a cat person before somebody gave me a dog. I think I'm ambidextrous now. Yeah, right here, boom.
Well, he might be the world's greatest cat, so there's part of that too.
He might be.
Yeah, he's about as awesome as they come. So and you can't take him back to Missouri with you. So
he wouldn't enjoy the ride.
No, he's not a car ride person.
That's a long ride.
The car rides generally lead to the vet, so he's really not keen on, because he knows whatever he goes there for isn't good. Not in his world, at least.
He's a good cat.
So I guess I think we've had a lot of good conversation here. Couple things just from this that I think, just because I want to give you the platform and the opportunity for. Thinking over the past 19 years, any standout, proudest moments or things that really, just as a parent, that just gave you that kind of ultimate parent high of just...
Obviously, many. I mean, for me, the day I found out my wife was pregnant, that was the biggest thrill ever. I could not believe, we're actually going to raise a child. And looking back, it was also the most scared I ever was.
Absolutely.
We're going to bring somebody into this world. And then we did it again back to back 18 months later. We've got a couple of really close girls, and I wouldn't say they're really close, but really close in age. And, siblings like to fight. Some of my proudest moments were teaching them how to ride bicycles, man. I mean, that's an accomplishment. You feel like you've done something. I mean, do you remember when you learned to ride a bike? Do you remember who was there helping you?
Mm-hmm.
I remember, and I want my girls to remember as well.
Yeah,
and
my old man.
Some of these things, and to drive a car, you're not there yet, but it's a thrill to understand that they're moving into that another stage in their life, another aspect in life. I was glad to see them both pass their driver's license, and it's an important thing in American society, if not, the rest of the world as well. There's a big um, life step with that.
Yep.
Obviously, graduating high school, um, losing the first tooth, potty training. I mean, all the
Potty training is awesome.
I mean, suddenly you can do it yourself. Really cool. I mean, that was a big thrill. Um, I don't know. There was a few lows as well. Getting beat up at school, and I want to go there and throttle that kid because he beat up my kid or whatever. Yeah, there's always that. It's not the right thing to do, and sometimes it wasn't even the other kid's fault. Whatever the case, those are lows. You have to find a way to deal with it. The breakups, I broke up with my boyfriend, girlfriend, and it's hard. That's difficult. You want to cry for them and with them, but
They break their heart. You want to go break
you want to
their
go
arm.
smash, Hulk smash.
Yeah.
It's those are some of the lows.
Especially as a dad, we're not necessarily always the most nurturing and more of the physical enforcer type.
Yeah, and I don't want to be that guy. I want for my children to understand that if they respect this individual enough or like this individual enough for them to be part of their life in that respect, then I want to get to know that individual as well, and it just moves on from there.
Yeah.
Highs and lows, absolutely. More highs and lows, probably, because I don't wish to remember the lows. I mean,
Isn't that the funny thing about it? Is that as you move forward, there
Well-
might be a week where you have a bunch of lows, but you look back in 2 years and you can't.
Yeah, and
There's the highlight lows, but
yeah, that's an interesting concept, or interesting perspective. The highlight lows, yeah, totaled the car, or got kicked off the football team, or yeah, there's a reason for that. There's a story behind each of these individual.
well, and those I
Instances.
think that you also look at those highlight lows, and that's where great growth and learning comes out of.
Has the capability to come out, has the opportunity for growth at these times.
Fair
Now,
enough, it doesn't always guarantee.
Well, now we have to be not only as adults, but children as well. Whoever it is we're talking about has to be paying enough attention to understand that. Hey man, there's an opportunity to learn something here, and man, you better learn from your mistakes, or it's going to happen again, and you just have to be able to roll with the punches, man. I mean, take your highs and lows, ebb and flow, man. Your biorhythms, whatever you want to call it, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago that the 5 people in my family, we all had a significant loss of one kind or another on the very same day. And that was, you're talking about everybody's biorhythms crashing at the same time and everybody just down and down and down.
That had to be.
It was a bummer. And, we all survived. We all were able to pick up the pieces and move on and put these things aside and focus on the next, task at hand, for lack of a better term. It just happens. I think highs and lows, yeah. The birth of all my children was one of my greatest highs. All 3 of them. I was there for all 3, and I would do it again. The lows, I'm not a perfect dad, and it sucks to see that I've failed them in whatever category on occasion, because it does come up. You realize I could have done that differently. I could have done better for them, or whatever the case. Could have been there more. Whatever. Could have cut their hair differently. Yeah, things like that.
Well, there's always going to be the looking back. I think some of the best advice I've gotten on that from those older and wiser than me is that it doesn't matter what we do, we're going to leave our kids with scars. It doesn't mean don't try or don't show up.
Right.
But you're going to make mistakes. You're going to go the wrong direction with something. And oftentimes, as even I've found in conversations with my parents as I've gotten older, what they thought was a great move was something that left a scar, and it's something that they thought was a screw up is actually one of the things that's made me the strong individual I
and
am.
Isn't it crazy like that? And just like your dad told me this week, it affects everybody differently. I mean, how do I have cancer and he doesn't and we're twins? Or, how come I sunburn and you tan? Or how come any of that?
Yep.
We may be all human, but it's very different physiological differences that make us unique, that make us able to take that, frown and turn it upside down. Or
Yep.
what I thought was a absolutely horrendous mistake becomes one of the best things I've ever done. It happens, and it even happens in parenting.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Might have been more like catastrophic failures. Oops, shouldn't have done that. I'll know next time.
Yeah.
Oops, shouldn't have done that. I got a third kid. I'll try again. So it's trial and error, and I think your heart of hearts is who you are, and that's the who you want to project into your children. For no other way to say it, I want to project the best of me into them so they can be the best that they can be, and it's
I like it.
it's not always going to happen. They also take the flaws. They also like to.
They're always watching.
They also like to sing off key at the radio.
Yeah.
There's
I might be the dad that turns the music off at times when it gets too. I fight through for a while, but if it starts getting too loud, too off key, I sometimes.
there's some.
That's probably one of my flaws, but I'm just like, I can't do it. I gotta take a break.
I kind of just tone it out.
I'm not that strong yet. That's one of my.
Well, and your dad was talking about this as well, where you got the girls in one room just the high chatter, and the boys in the other room just and it's all just and I think that's where the term selective hearing comes from. I find myself just whether I have to shut the door or step outside, whatever I want, I want to be able to have that opportunity to, tune them out as well. You got to have time for, your own centering or whatever you want to call it.
Then you wonder why you see all the dads that are working heavy equipment, they're not wearing any earplugs. They're just drowning that.
That might be part of it. I know.
Probably just stubbornness, but we can play it off that way.
Yeah, I think my deafness comes from loud music. I was told once if it's too loud, I'm too old, and it ain't too loud yet.
Yeah, I love that a little bit.
Yeah, I live it.
That and working around airplanes.
That'll
Ringing now and then.
That'll do it. That'll.
They're loud.
Gosh, I got a good friend who's almost lost it all because I gotta wear earplugs. All right then.
Well, no, in the Air Force, the one plane I was on, you put in the earplugs and you put the earmuffs on, and it's still so loud when you're working around it that it still gets you. Not as quickly, obviously, when you're wearing all that.
I can believe it.
That's the nature of the beast, but
I
had a job to do, so I'm not going to not do the job.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm not going in the break, so...
And that's another thing, man. It's that level of commitment. I mean, in your life, in your lifestyle, in your job, and how committed you are to making this car work, how committed you are to keeping your house, weatherproof. I mean, your level of commitment determines a lot, and your children see that in you and know, I could have done that differently, or I should have done that differently. Maybe I'm not a clean person, but I'm a neat person. Maybe maybe I want somebody else to do it all for me. All these things show up in the product that is your children.
Absolutely.
And I think, and that may be just a funny way to look at it. This is the product I'm offering to the world as my gift, or this is what I've done with myself here. I mean, and I'm hoping that what I'm doing is right, is good, is better than everybody else, because that's what I want. It ain't gonna happen. I mean, it might. Who knows? I could be raising the next Einstein. You don't know until it happens, but
none of us know.
That's exactly what I strive for, and I think we all do as parents. Want that more than anything. To be, proud of the children we raised.
Yeah, and make a positive impact on the world around us.
And I think the way to do that, you've said many times in this conversation, consistency, man. Just keep plugging. Just keep doing what you think is right, and stay. Don't flip flop around a lot. Don't give
No.
in a lot. Don't let them run over you.
That kills your credibility right there with your kids too. It certainly does. I'm gonna take a peek and see. I'll just slide up here.
Oh, I forgot to turn it on.
Yeah, we're good. I want to make sure it was recording. What's part of it? I knew it was.
What else you got on? Anything else I missed? Any other?
No, like I said, this
Brain
is just
or-
a whole. I mean, like you could flip through the list and see if there's stuff, but it's just
I don't know.
this is
I
the.
feel like I'm talking in circles. I feel like I'm saying the same thing over.
But
and
that's
over again.
exactly what, at the heart of what has sparked this is, I have a great dad. He's been my dad for 36 years. I have, well, you just met my grandpa, who's 95. I've had scout leaders. I've had uncles. I've had, for me, fathers and mentors and coaches in my life have been everywhere, all around me. And the message and the learning I've gotten from them has been very similar and consistent from all the different parties. And I think that's a common narrative that is missed out there, and especially those coming into it, maybe coming from a broken home, not having those role models and mentors there, that they don't understand that it is the similar same journey that we're all on, and it's not something that we know what we're doing when we get into. It's not, I don't want to downplay it and say it's not rocket science, but it's not rocket science. It's not a stroll in the park. It's somewhere in the middle. It takes work, it takes effort, but you can do it. We can do it. I can do it. He can do it.
We can
you
all
can do it.
I mean, what we want is, like you said, I want to be able to take the best of all my mentors and use that as myself, and that's what makes us individuals. That will make our children individuals as well. Is that what they're going to learn from us is the most of who we are, but they're going to learn who they are from their peers and their surroundings as they grow as well. So I think the biggest thing we can do, like you said again and again, is try and be the best that we can, be the best you can be, and taking from all your mentors, whether it be your pack leader, your coach. Coach is a good example. Whether it be your your deacon at church or I don't care, the bus driver on your daily route. They're you can take a piece of everybody's persona and embrace that for yourself to be the you that you want to be, and if that's how you want to raise your children or what have you, if it's the image or message that you want to promote or show.
Yeah. Well, that's this channel, this message, these videos. It's not just for us dads. It's for the uncles. It's for the scout leaders. It's for the coaches. It's for the moms. It's for the aunts.
Man.
It's for the grand. It's for anybody and everybody that wants to get better, is looking for support. Just anybody and everybody who can get any value from it. That's who it's here for. To get better, to give you that opportunity, to make it relatable. It's the same for all of us at the core.
Yeah,
Story's a little bit
I know.
different. The cast changes, but the story's the same. It's like, how many times can they rewash the same Disney, plot
As many
with
times
different
you want.
characters? They do it all the time. It's no different in parenting. It's the same story with different supporting cast. It just keeps turning through.
I think if there's one quality I find most appealing in my mentors and my father and the person I wish I were that I'm not there yet, patience. Man, your child is a growing living being and he's not going to know everything. She's not going to understand it all. You have to have patience. You have to be driven to the final product, man. You have to be able to roll with the punches and understand that they're not always going to seek you out and they're not always going to understand and they're not always going to care. But it's a process. It's a lifelong process, and as long as you understand it and hear it and listen, then you're going to do fine.
Yeah.
Parenting.
Parenting 101.
It may be even parenting one. Patience, man, because we're not Benjamin Button, man. We didn't be born old and grow young. I mean, that
Yeah.
would be fantastic, but it isn't the case. So we have
Now
to learn as we
the
go.
art of, yeah, it is a skill, it is a gift, and at times it fails us all. And we
We all
will not.
have some kind of flaw. I mean, there's some character flaw or personality quirk or whatever it is. We're not gonna get it right every time, and I don't wish to, because these scars and errors and boo boos we make along the way make us the unique individuals who we are. And for better or for worse, we're gonna grow into that.
Well, and I think, I mean, you obviously, you know, have Janice, your wife, there that's been, counterpart support, and
I'd say actually she's done a better job at the rearing than I have.
but that's, I'm not taking anything away from what she's done or that, but for me, I have Katie, my wife, and
It's a
having that
partnership,
partner that can sound off of you,
a balancing act.
and they're not you, you're not them, you're going to do it differently, approach it differently, see it differently, is a huge,
It's a bonus.
yeah.
It's definitely a plus.
And that's where,
And we complement each other nicely, and it's important because the kids see it from both sides, which makes it even more difficult for a single parent to be able to show both sides, to be both mom and dad, whether he's mom or dad.
yeah.
And the thing is, it's a struggle, and you're gonna have to forfeit some things in lieu of others. But man, it's still a means to an end. It's still the end product is what we're after. I mean, as a parent, again, I keep talking about the end product. The product is my child. I want to be able to present this to the world in a fashion that look what we've done
But
here.
that's the goal, that
And
successful adult that goes
and
off into the world.
it ain't easy, and you're gonna be tired of it daily. Sleep deprivation is a real thing,
Yes, it is.
and getting past that and getting to the stage where they're you know enterprising young adults doing what they should be doing, and that's not always going to happen either. We're going to make flaws, or their particular scenario is going to keep that from being a possibility, but um,
Yep.
it is part of the puzzle.
You have the kid that you raise that you think's going to run out the door the second they turn 18 and they hang around till they're 25. And then you have the kid that you're raising that you think's never leaving the house,
Out
and
of 17.
they graduate early at 17 and a half and they're gone already. And you can call it, but it doesn't mean you're going to be right.
Yeah, it's just balancing act, trying to keep it all together, trying to look like you know what you're doing. I mean, we know what we're doing. We've never done it before. Doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever operated a heavy crane before, but I know what I'm doing. This gear swings the lever, and that one makes the bucket go back and forth. Sure. Well, there's some trial and error, and there's some right ways to do it. And shouldn't have done that. No, that was excellent. I want to do it again. So
Yeah.
it's the same with
That's very fair. That's
I mean, it's not. That's almost a comical way to look at it, but I'm not going to sit there and say that anybody knows everything. I mean, even the famous psychologists and psychiatrists, I'm not sure I'm buying all that either. I mean, I know I've said a lot of hokey here, and I know that they say a lot of hokey, and somewhere in the middle is the perfect mix. And whether I've reached it or not, to be seen.
it's still, we all have our own reality.
Yes, indeed. And your
And
perception is your reality.
as you said earlier, and that's what you take from this, what you take from the psychiatrists and the psychologists and the experts, and what you believe, what you don't believe, what works with one kid doesn't work with another kid. We each have our own reality, and then with each kid, it's a different Every
It
interaction, every situation
is a
is.
different reality for him because, and my reality with him is different than my reality with her is different than their reality together. It's just because we're all different individuals.
Yep. And accepting that and appreciating that with grace is a huge art in parenting.
It is
And
an art.
sometimes you see them and you think of yourself and what you are and who you are and what you like and what you do, and they're not that, and they go the opposite direction or they do it a totally different way, and it can be very hard to be like,
That's
okay.
not what I wanted for you.
That's...
I feel that frequently. That's not what I wanted for you. Um, not about me. I mean, it's about helping this person to be the best they can be.
Yep.
To the best of my ability. And if my ability ends that, that's not what I wanted. It's not what I want for her. You know, or is it? I mean, it is. What I want is the best for you, and you've chosen to do something other than I would have chosen for you to do. There's a line, and you know you're going to do what you're going to do, and I'm going to help you the best I can.
Yep.
And you know, I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. Don't want to be. Well, of course I want to be.
Yeah.
But, so we.
But you're humble enough to step
to ask
aside
for
when
help
you're
when I
not.
need it. To recognize that you know I fail and I fall down. I get back up again. I made a mistake. I try to right it and you know move forward with that.
We all fall down. It's
Hope it's not you know mentally defeating or you know personality changing and you know
we all hit the mat. It's how quick we get back up and how we get back up. Because we go down a lot and often hard.
I understand cowboy up. I cowboy down as well. Cowboy down hurts.
Yes, it does.
So I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't.
Well, I think
I don't know.
at this point, I think the conversation's been great. I've enjoyed it. I got value from it, and at this point, what I really like to do is just give the opportunity, as this is something we'll be putting out there, putting together, is here's an opportunity if you'd like to say anything to your kids, just of hopes, aspirations, dreams, encouragement, whatever. It's an opportunity for you to put something out there.
What I say to my children, I love you dearly. I hope that you get some value out of what I've talked here today. I don't know that I've aimed it to you per se, but more everybody who's listening, including fathers, prospective fathers, grandfathers, adult children, uncles, aunts. I want people to know, and my children as well, that I do the best I can with raising my children. I want to impart good values and hope that, you know, we're good people. And I think it's important because it makes the world a better place. I'm not sure how else to say. I love my children dearly, and thank you for being mine. Maybe a weird way to say it.
I love it. It got me in here, so.
Well, I mean it. I love my wife as well, and I'm glad we're a team, and we've got some beautiful children, and I want to share them with the world. So that's why we're here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Russ. This has been a pleasure.
It has been for me as well.
I
hope I didn't drone on, but
I'm gifted at droning on, so you might have a little bit, but that's just the nature of the beast. And you know,
good deal.
I've enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have all enjoyed it too. I thank you all for tuning in again. As we sign off here, as I always say, everybody out there in the community, keep getting better every day, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning in today. I really hope you all enjoyed the conversation with Russell as much as I did. I know it brought me a lot of value, and I hope it did for you guys too. And something that walking back through it that really stuck out for me was the statement about parenting, about fathering, and the fact that it is a lifetime commitment. And at first, on the surface, that could seem a little daunting. But to me, I really wear that as a badge of honor, as that we get to lead, guide, and leave wisdom for the generations behind us. And that to me is just, it's really cool, plain and simple. So if you guys did get value from this today, getting any value from the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That'll keep you connected to the community, and that will allow you to know when we have upcoming videos and more coming out on the channel. Also, if you'd like to check out more from the channel, go ahead and click on one of these videos here. Take you to some more of the videos on the channel. And now, once again, I do thank you all for tuning in. Keep getting better every day, and we'll see y'all again soon. Take care.